everybody, welcome back to Taji's World of Books and welcome to my Friday wrap-up. Hey guys, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have a couple books that I want to talk to you about, two of which I'm really excited to talk to you about, and then I thought, why don't I just tack on an unboxing because I got my Mystic box in as well. So I just got a lot going on today and I thought it would be fun to do it with you guys. So without further ado, let's do it. Okay, so as I have been doing, let's continue on with my updates of Karen Rose, and this is Die For Me. I think this is book 9, I think. Maybe 10, something like that, in the romantic suspense series. This is fantastic. It is set in Philadelphia, where Detective Vito Ciccatelli is located, and he is the brother to Tess Ciccatelli. Tess was in the previous book. We saw her. She was the psychiatrist who her patients were mysteriously dying under mysterious circumstances. She comes from a very close-knit family with multiple brothers, and her brother was a detective in Philadelphia, so he came up to Chicago to help support her in that. And now it is his turn, Vito's turn, to have his own book, and this is his story, and he comes across a circumstance. This was a really cool book. He comes across a circumstance in which a killer has buried multiple bodies, that he has tortured these people over unique set of circumstances. They're tortured in different ways and they have different puncture wounds and different things around their body. But it's clear that this location that he's come upon is a gravesite. And so they want to be very careful about how they exhume the bodies. And so his partner recommends that they contact one of her really good friends who happens to be in the area, who is an archaeologist, and she can help dig up the bodies. She works for a local museum as a curator, as well as, like, you know, it's a struggling museum. So they put on like these little skits and scenes to kind of encourage people and make people feel happy and fun. And when they go to the museum, so that they'll become patronage and continue to attend the museum. Her name is Sophie. And Sophie has a long history of terrible relationships with men, and in particular, one of her mentors and professors for her dissertation took advantage of her when she was quite young, and so she has sworn off of all men. And Detective Ciccatelli also has a circumstance and a situation with somebody named Andrea. We don't know her story. We do know that it ended terribly. We do know that she is dead, and we don't know why she's dead. And the story sort of unfolds from there, and we are really trying to understand this particular killer. And we know that this particular killer is doing something in a virtual reality, and the story really evolves from there, and it's so good and so fascinating. And again, Karen Rose did a fantastic job of weaving a web of suspense and romance and intrigue, and trying to put all the clues together and see how all these different puzzle pieces fit together, because you have a lot of players. It's almost, I imagine, if you were watching this as a movie, you would see some people over here that are set in like Chicago doing some stuff, and you're like, how do those Chicago people relate to what's going on in Philadelphia? And you see that they're investigating these murder scenes and this murder crime that's happening in Philadelphia, but then you don't understand how North Carolina is connecting with this judge, and the judge and his wife are missing, and they're trying to find them and trying to figure out what's going on. So there's a lot of pieces going on, and so it's so fascinating to try to figure it out. And to date, I have yet to figure out any of her, like, I haven't clocked it. I haven't been able to go, that's what's going on under those circumstances, and here's who did it, and I know it, and it just never is what you think it's going to be. And that's what's so fun about these stories. They all are a solid 4. I haven't read anyone that I'm just like, this is an absolute 5. They're all a solid 4, but they deliver. You know what you're going to get. You know it's going to be a fun ride. And it depends. Some of them require you to be like really focused and really sit down and kind of pay attention to what's going on, because you don't want to miss it. And other books, you're just like, oh, I can do my housework, I can clean, I can reorganize my bookshelves or whatever, while you're listening to an audiobook, and you like totally get what's going on, and it's sufficient and it's fine. So it just depends on what you want, but it's fantastic. So check this out. So then the next book that I read, and I'm sort of going backwards in order here. The next book that I read was The Mixtape by Brittany Cherry. I haven't read anything by Brittany Cherry. This came in a revealed book box, and so I am checking her out for the first time, and this was not at all what I expected. I go into books blind. I never read the dust jacket to see what's going on. I just like to be surprised when I go into it and check out the story. So I assumed by the cover that it was going to be a rom-com, and boy, was I wrong. This book packs such a punch that it left me reeling. It left me reeling because it's so emotional. It's so apropos for what's going on with young women today and in our society that we live in. And the story is not at all what you expect. And it definitely, I love the author's note, because the author says to you, this story came from a place of compassion and love for women around the world who go through so much day in and day out. I wanted to write a story full of heart and meaning and authentic feeling. For those reasons, I'd like to note that parts of the story may be sensitive to readers due to the subject matter, which includes substance abuse, depression, verbal abuse, and rape. And it's not like you see all of this stuff on page. You don't. You just infer it in some instances. In other instances, you see it on page. So the story is about a girl named Emery, and she has a daughter, and she is destitute. They are clearly like getting ready to get kicked out of their apartment, don't have enough food to eat, and she's trying her best. She's very prideful, very independent, and does not want to take handouts from other people. She wants to do it on her own because she believes that doing it on your own is best. She is working to make ends meet. She has an adorable little daughter. I can't remember her daughter's name. She has I'll think of it. She has an adorable little 4-year-old daughter, and the daughter is very precocious and very sweet and very intelligent and kind. And there is a wonderful next door neighbor that is helping out with her, helps out. And the woman just happens to be a retired therapist. And so she comes around and helps, and she can tell that they are really struggling. So she comes over and says, for example, yeah, I just stopped. I had a hankering for donuts. And so I got a dozen donuts, and I can't eat all of these. So I thought that I would drop them off to you guys. And the daughter is like, oh my God, donuts, yes. And she's so excited and snatches the box. And Emery says, to the neighbor, she's like, it's funny how you had a hankering for donuts, and there's a dozen donuts in that box. And she's like, oh, they must have put an extra one in there. So it's clear she's going out of her way to help her. Okay, so Emery has a love of this band of Oliver and his brother, Alex and Oliver. It's like this, R&B kind of band situation. And the story starts off with Alex and Oliver, at a Grammy event. And Oliver is not he has social anxiety. You don't learn till later, but he doesn't do well at these events. And so he wants to leave. And so his brother, they're twins, never lets him do anything alone. So Alex is like, if you're leaving, I'm leaving. And so he gets his coat, and they get in the limo and they go home. And as they're going home, they get into a terrible car accident, and Alex is killed. This happens in the first 2 pages of the book. He is killed. And Oliver is left reeling, trying to sort it out. And it's about his story, trying to figure out as his path collides with Emery. And it is so powerful and so emotional. There are parts of this book that I was in tears over, because Emery's relationship with her parents is so abusive and so disgusting that it just is mind-blowing. And also her relationship with her sister Sammy is unhealthy and needs to be resolved as well. So there's a lot going on. The only thing that I find a little bit hard to take is that Emery and Oliver both, to me, seem very immature and naive. And they do things that I just think, like, at that age, handling those responsibilities, I never would have fallen for, or I never would have done. But, everybody's personality is different, and these are characters, and this is their story. But it is fantastic. It is really well written. It is definitely a slow burn because it's about their relationship, but it's also about healing and overcoming mental illness and overcoming substance abuse and fighting through conflict and drama and surviving and showing that you can survive despite all odds against you, regardless of whether it's the media, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, like whomever. You were we're going to overcome and prevail regardless. And that's what this story is. And it's like how you do it by yourself, but also that you need other people in your corner to help you to overcome, because you can't do it by yourself. We never can. We don't live in isolation, and we need support from our community. And so this is a fantastic story. So if you're looking for smut and spice, sput together, if you're looking for that, that's not this. But it doesn't need to be, because the story is so fantastic, and it's so rich, and it's written so well. Like, Brittany Cherry is such a great writer that I thought it was fantastic, and I thought it was really well done, and I think you really enjoy it. So I gave it a 4.75. In terms of spice, I give it a 2, and in terms of angst, I give it a 3. So it's really good. I highly recommend it, and it delivers in a lot of ways. Okay, so complete departure from that. This took me by surprise, and I just have all the feels, and I just need to talk to you guys about it. And that is Kitty Thomas, Comfort Foods. Whew. Okay. So let me say this first of all. If you don't know about this book, you should. Okay, you should. Number 1. Number 2, this is not for everyone. Not for everyone. Okay? Read the trigger warnings. It is not for everyone. But if you can handle dark, and you can handle quirky dark romance, and you can take a lot of stuff, and you have no triggers, dive in. This book made me angry. It made me sad. It made me confused. It made me go, it made me, whew, damn, that was spicy. It gave me all the feels. And again, I love dark romance so much, because I love when you take a captor-captive situation, and I go, how the hell are you going to go from that shit you pulled over here to a HEA? Like, I don't even see the path. I don't even see it. Help me see it. And then when I see it, I'm like, you're like, do you see it now? No, I don't see it. Do you see it now? Like, what movie was that? Do you see it now? No, I don't see it. Do you see it now? And you keep going, and I'm like, I see it. Oh my God, I see it. So this is not about a typical BDSM relationship. Let's just start there. It's not. This is about a master-slave situation that is a completely different dynamic than BDSM. Master-slave is 24/7, and there is a power differential, and I am master and you are slave, and we are all in it to win it, okay? That is this. And this story is about Emily Vargas. And Emily Vargas is on the circuit, meaning like she is a motivational speaker. She writes motivational books, and she goes around and she talks to people about, just how to improve their lives. Her sister has passed away years before, and her parents never really dealt with the death of her sister. So she comes from a very dysfunctional home, and her parents have never really appreciated her or treated her or valued her in a way that they should have. Let's just say that. And so she is at an event, and I believe it's somewhere in Texas. She's at an event, she's speaking at this event, and she gets kidnapped. And she wakes up in a cell, basically. And the story really evolves from there. And I don't want to tell you too much. And a lot of it is written, it's written like you're reading her journal of what happened to her while in captivity. And it's all her dialogue with herself. So I would say 3/4 of this book is internal dialogue, and 1/4 of it is verbal dialogue, because he doesn't talk to her. He doesn't speak to her. He only feeds her food, comfort food. And it is so fascinating and so frustrating and so spicy and so confusing and so and I love how Emily talks to herself and the things that she says about the dynamics of society. I like how she speaks about relationships between men and women. I like how she talks about and understands the psychology behind what's going on. But I also love how she breaks down what's happening to her and her isolation, and how she becomes who she becomes. That's all I'm going to say. It is so fascinating. And I've talked to a couple of people who have read this book and they said the same thing. I loved this book, but I wanted to throw it across the room because I was so angry, but at the same time, I loved it. I loved it. I gave this a 5 out of 5, 5 spice, 5 angst. It is fantastic. It is so good. But at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, like this is horrible. But I don't know. Like, I just don't know. I don't know. Has anybody read this? If you guys have read this, tell me what you think. Because I feel like equal parts torn of saying like, this is fantastic and I love it and it works for them and this is what like they want to do and they're doing it and it's all great. But like, is it okay? I don't know. Because I don't know. It's so good though. It's so good. I loved her writing style. I loved her writing style so much that I went out and bought like 5 more books by Kitty Thomas because I think that she's going to be my new favorite author because she writes erotica and she writes BDSM and she writes quirky BDSM that have like not like a traditional happy ever after type situation, but it's like a spin or a different take on that. And I want different things and I want to be like stimulated in different ways and in unique ways that are not like traditional. And it's so cool to like see that there's an author out here that's doing that. And of course, and some of her books are on Audible and some are not. This is not an audio book. This is on Kindle Unlimited and it's fantastic. It's just so good. It's so good. And it's like so short. It's itty bitty. Now, the one thing that I am going to say is her price point on her books are very pricey. Like they're very, very high. So I thought that that was very unique. I'm not quite sure why her price point is so high. It's higher than the traditional books that we get, which are like the $10 to $15. Hers are in the $15 to $21 range. So I was like, that's really interesting. And you can't really find many of her books used. So it is what it is. So take that for what it is. But I'm saying, if you had not read this and you love dark romance and you are definitely up for something different, yo, try this out. I'm telling you, you are going to be like, what the hell? You're going to be like, I love it, but I hate it, but I love it, but I want more. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm feeling right now. Like you're going to get all in your feels about it. And it's okay because I'm in my feels about it too. But just know that I recommended it to you and you're going to be like, thank you so much, Taji, for recommending this. At the same time, I don't even know what to think. And again, remember, reality, no go. Not okay, disgusting, terrible, don't do it, ever, ever, ever. But in a book, in fantasy, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's opened like the curtain to the bedroom to allow me to see something completely different. And I'm just like, wow, I don't know. I'm in my feels. I'm in my feels. So comment below and tell me what you think if you've read this or if you're even willing to give it a shot and give it a go. I don't know. I'm interested to hear. Okay. All right. So then next, what I want to do is talk about my mystic box. See what they got. I just cut it open. I haven't seen anything about it. You guys know I go into stuff completely blind, so I'm not going to know much about what's going on in this book, but that's in this box, but it's all good. Got a little card here. This is Penelope. This looks like when I see the card, I was like, this gotta be Penelope Douglas. Oh, I love this. This is fantastic. So it says, one day in 2014, I had a plot bunny, a young woman who sent a group of guys from her high school to prison, or so they thought. Over the next year, I built Thunder Bay in my head with everything I loved. Halloween, cemeteries, abandoned places, hidden tunnels, and masks. A dark Disneyland where adults are still allowed to play. There is nothing I wouldn't change about this series, and although putting your work out there to be judged is always hard, I'm grateful so many of you saw what I saw, a thrilling world that realized we never truly want to grow up. We still want to play, to find magic, to explore, and to go on adventures. I'm glad Mystic Box decided to take me and giving you these 2 books. Oh my gosh, if it's a series that I think it is, this is one of the first dark romances that I ever read. And when I first read it, I remember sitting in my living room and I was like, oh my God, what is this? What is this? And what? And I was a goner. So Penelope Douglas is definitely my intro into dark romance, and I just ran with it from there, and I can't wait. Oh my gosh, these are beautiful. Look at this. Hide it away. I haven't opened it. So beautiful. I love that. Look at that detail in that mask. So fantastic. So fantastic. And kill switch. Oh my gosh. And we have a pin here. I'm gonna have to go back and revisit Thunder Bay. I have not read any of these books in it's been years, a really long time, so I think I need to do it. Look at that pin. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. Mystic Box, you did it. Winter and what was his name? Winter and what is his name? Damon. Winter and Damon. Look at the boys. I love those masks. I love them. And then this one, obviously Hideaway. Hideaway was the sister, Kai and Banks. That's right, Kai and Banks. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. So like from my understanding, the Mystic Box is the dark romance version of the book box, and I can't remember what the Hello Lovely box is. And then I also recently joined Arcane Society, Arcane book box. Haven't gotten my first one yet, so as soon as that comes in, I will share that with you as well. So you guys, that's it. That's all that I have for today. I really hope that you check out some of these recommendations. They are all fantastic. I think you really are going to enjoy them. I hope that you check them out. And thanks for sitting in with me as I open my Mystic Box. Mystic Box is always so fun, and you always get beautiful special edition. And I love, as a collector, I love to display them on my shelves. And I look over here because my shelves are over there. And I know that you guys have asked me to do a bookshelf tour, and I just have to think about how to organize it because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 bookshelves of all of my romance type books that I'm reading, and I need to figure out how to do that in a way that makes sense. And so I'm planning it and thinking about it, and it's going to be coming to you guys soon. So you guys, I'm going to ask you to do all the things, like and subscribe so you can come and hang out with me more. I'm trying to make sure that I'm being consistent with my uploading. You guys are such great support. I love you so much. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. Give me a little emoji and let me know that you've hung out with me for the entirety of this video. And that's all that I have for today. So I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Bye.